Hey there guys, Spancy Dragon here, aka Centrams, and welcome to Avorion Extended. So, in some of the past videos, I did mention the subject of mods, and in my previous video about Avorion in general, I also said that one of the only mods that I ever wanted to make a series about was the XAVORIon mod, aka Avorion Extended, aka a mod that is supposed to make Avorion a little bit more like the X series. Now, full disclosure, I have not fully explored this mod yet, I don't know all of the things about it, and second disclosure, I've never really gotten into the X series. I've played both Terran Conflict and Albion whatever, but I never really got into it, so to speak, so I cannot really judge this mod from the perspective of how successful it is in terms of actually getting there, but what I will judge it on is how close it makes Avorion to a game that I thought Avorion should be. Now, this is going to be the setup episode. I'm going to be talking about some of the more technical aspects before we actually get into the game, and I think we're going to stop this video at around when we create our first ship. Anyway, this is not the only mod that we're going to be using today. So over here we have the XAVORIon, Extended Avorion mod over here. There are a few others you see currently enabled. One of them is called Loot Order. It's simply a way to tell your AI-piloted craft to go around and pick up dropped systems and turrets, which is very, very nice. You also have these three mods over here. You have the Auto AI Self-Defense, Craft Mortars, Improved Orders Control. Now, these three mods over here, they are for an advanced control over your piloted ships, and they are not going to come into play until we actually start making kind of other combat ships, so I'm going to go into detail about that mod in specific once we actually get to it. Until then, we're going to be focusing mostly around a XAVORIon mod and about how it plays and what it does. And what it does is, as already said, actually bring Avorion into line with what I thought Avorion does. And without spoiling too much, the two main things that you need to know is that it does away with the concept of material being tied to the distance from the galaxy center, except for the material Avorion itself. So, in other words, instead of collecting higher tier materials towards the center of the galaxy, it actually makes sure that all of these materials, except for Avorion, which is still inside of the barrier, these materials actually spawn everywhere, and the spawn locations are actually kind of tied to the, quote, level of the sector, so to speak. I cannot really explain it right now without actually starting a new game, so let's actually do that right now. So as you can already see, I actually called it Avorion Extended LP. I don't really know how many episodes can I get into this until Avorion 2.0 comes out, but I really did want to cover Avorion Extended because this is an amazingly interesting mod. One thing to know about the difficulty, it actually says in the in the mod description that anyone who is trying Avorion Extended for the first time should really try on beginner, because one of the balance changes is that out of all the things you can randomize in Avorion, I always thought that the devs might be randomizing the wrong things. Here, however, you will actually never get fair fights in the sense that the strength of the sector and the strength of the enemies is completely bonkers, so even on the beginner difficulty, you might end up getting into fights there that you are not physically capable of winning. But that being said, if you want to play on Veteran, it also includes a very specific system of this mod, which basically makes your ship use fuel for jumps. Now, sadly, that feature actually conflicts with the other mod that I'm currently using, the advanced AI control one. So instead, we're going to be playing on normal for now. And with that in mind, we're just going to start. So, I already explained one of the things. The second most prominent feature of this mod is the complete overhaul of how systems work. So in the vanilla game, you have, say, for example, if you wanted to make a combat ship, you had to amass turret control systems. You had to install it on the ship, you had to make sure that your ship has enough slots for them, and install multiple ones. In this mod, you actually have multiple different systems that kind of specializes your ship in a way that they cover multiple aspects. So, for example, a mining system can give you the ability to detect asteroids, install civilian turrets. Every single system, in other words, is turned into one of the kind of tiered version of the boss systems. You know, the Xtonian the Xtonian systems, and just like those systems, every single one of these systems are unique in terms of you can only place one on a ship. So instead of trying to find like 7 different turret control systems for your big battleship, all you have to find is a very good combat system. But yeah, one more thing to note is that we do start off with a ship. You'll notice that this ship actually does have shields as well. I'll talk in a moment about what I don't like about this ship in general. But yeah, so welcome to XAVORIon. The first thing you'll notice that this is a very, very busy system, and that is one of the changes that the mod actually makes. It makes every single sector much more busy. It's actually amazingly large. So just to show you, I'm going to zoom all the way out. You actually notice that there are certain stations that kind of pop in and out because the overall size of the sector is increased as well. Everything has been toned up to 11, and at times I really like how this is done. So, let's take a look about the starting ship and what I don't like about it. I get the idea. The mod author thought that starting off with this mod is going to be very, very hard, especially for players who are not used to the intricacies of Avorion if they haven't played too long. And so, what they gave us is and let's be reasonable here, very overpowered ship. So, the whole count and shield count is not really a lot. It's only 2.87k, but at the same time, you have 5 slots. And the way that they do this is frankly a little bit silly. So if we go into the build menu and you take a look at for example, the gyro arrays, you'll notice that these things are completely stacked, and that is how they made this ship so small and yet so, big. I don't like this sort of approach. It's kind of cheesy. It kind of goes against my personal, feelings about the game. So the first thing I'm going to do before I actually start doing this mod, I'm going to very quickly rebuild the ship by just, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to place this whole block, Control C, going into Save Designs, Control V. Also going to very quickly delete these auto-generated ships because I don't know why the game does that. But yeah, so first things first, we're going to apply the design. We're going to get all the credits back for the initial ship, also the iron, titanium, neonite. So give me just a moment, and I'm going to very quickly just make a funny little ship for us to continue this first episode. Alright, ladies and gents, there we have it. We have our first shippy. I tried to not make it overly elaborated, but here we go. Welcome to the Lapse of Sanity. So, with that in mind, we can actually start the game as soon as we get some crew, actually. And that shouldn't be too hard to do. Now then, there is, as I already started explaining, a few things that we need to know about this mod. First things first is that, depending on where we start, our overall progression might be either very simple or quite problematic. It looks like there are no engineers on this place, so it looks like I will have to use just generic people for this. But let's do that anyway. Okay, actually, this is fine. Alright, so let's take a look. The current situation is actually very simple. Depending on how our luck rolls, we are going to start off in a place. I know, amazing, right? The place that I'm referring to is every single nation generated in the game has been given a sort of core system count and a external and kind of off-the-grid count. So what I actually mean by that is, depending on where we spawned, we might be facing very different types of material. So in order to do that, let's take a look over here at the combat equipment market. Yes, by the way, they have added a lot of new station types. And let's take a look at the trade items and upgrades. So this is what I meant by every ship can kind of have its own specialization without having to duplicate systems. So for example, combat system, it gives you 9,4 military slots, it gives you a system scanner boost, it gives you more defense turrets, it gives you more military turrets, and etc, etc. And for example, these things over here, this gives you 24 slots. So it kind of makes it easier for you to have multiple, like a lot more guns on your ship, but at the same time, it does kind of balance that in a different way. I'll be able to actually kind of explain that in a moment. One more thing to know about is that they have redone torpedoes a little bit. You'll notice that these torpedoes are extremely cheap, and that's simply because the range also has increased. So you can see these are 64 kilometers. This is like up to 100 kilometers. So just distance and combat is a big deal now. And so that's something we'll have to do. So it looks like we started off in a pure iron sector. It doesn't really look that there's any other types of material here, which is actually strange. This is the first time I see something like that. So one of the ideas is that you actually start off with up to three different materials per system. So for example, and they are randomized, by the way, so you might have like iron, neonite, and ogonite, or you might have titanium and, I don't know, neonite or trinium, titanium, and it also impacts the tier, or rather the type of turrets you have. Actually, that's something I didn't check. What about the tier system? So this is a pulse cannon, it's a Tech 17, so this is actually quite far into the game. You also see that you have iron laser turrets. So the whole idea here is that the game does not lock you behind a distance, quote, paywall. You have access to everything from the get-go, and it might sound kind of silly right now, but I assure you it is, in fact, not. Anyway, as already obviously mentioned before, I never really am a fan of kind of, you know, starting everything off by mining things for me. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make a simple mining ship, mining drone for this sort of thing. And so with that in mind, let me very quickly just do this again, and I'll be right back. Alright, here we go. We have ourselves a mining ship. So, one thing you'll notice is that I immediately gave it a cargo hold, and the reason for that is actually remarkably simple. Chances are we are actually going to have quite a fair bit of very good tech around, so I'm not even going to guess, but the resource depot should have, apart from turret control systems, which we will in fact need, you also will have... Let's take a look. So we have civil control turrets, that's always good. Asteroid scanner range, that's also always good. But the one thing that we're currently looking for are the turrets themselves, and over here, this is what I meant. We have a R mining turret already, so that's something that I expected. Now, actually, I kind of hoped for, but looks like for now, we're just going to go for these very, very low tier ones over here. And that's going to be our starting sort of sector, so to speak. You'll notice that I basically already ran out of gubbins right now. I have already used up pretty much all of my resources, and so we're going to probably end the first kind of setup episode right here, as we kind of allow this ship to just move on and start gathering resources. The one thing that I'm kind of hoping for right now, though, is the fact that, well, this place is a low-tech system, which means that the chances of pirates attacking us is actually very high, and that's something I'm actually hoping for. Of course, this ship would be in danger, but at the same time, pirates attacking sectors only means more loot for us, more systems for us, and that is something we need right now, as soon as possible. Now then, some of you might be wondering, why did I buy these cheapo mining turrets? And the idea right here is very simple. So early on in the game, I want this thing to mine as fast as possible, so I would rather have more iron mining turrets that have very bad efficiency, but actually have the DPS multiplier that actually would allow us to, you know, go through rocks a lot faster. That would be the idea. And right now with 7 of them, I would say that we are pretty much ready to do exactly that. All we have to do right now is just find ourselves a captain, which I think we're just going to borrow it from my dude. So, come to me and give me your captain. And just like that, we have a captain. And we are just going to go and let it do the do. Actually, no, we are not. Stop. So, this is where that one mod comes in. So, if we go over here, you'll notice that there is a new kind of section over here. And the idea is very simple. We're going to select the mining drone, and we're going to tell him to do mining. But one thing you'll notice that over here you have a queue. It kind of automatically assumes that you want to issue further orders. So, for example, after that, we can say, we also want you to refine ores, right? And after that, you want to loop, right? So you can issue these orders without having to kind of, you know, hold down the shift key, which sometimes is kind of finicky. And also, apart from that, we can also set the auto AI settings. So in other words, take a look at this. So this is a mining ship. So self-defense AI, we can set it to when an enemy ships are present in the sector, the ship just jumps away. For example, if this was a combat ship, we would actually be able to tell it that if there's enemy ships, you need to engage them. But if your shield drops below 50%, then you can jump out. Or if you don't have shields, do that once your hull is about 70, for example. We are also going to make sure that it actually alerts us in the chat settings. And there you go. And start command. And there goes my hero. Watch him as he go. And that's basically it. We are fully able to kind of forget about iron for quite a while now. This system is a big, and we kind of need to focus on this ship instead. So we have 20,000 credits left. We also have some titanium left. We'll have iron in just a moment. And the one thing I really want to do is make sure that once combat happens, I need to be as far away from it as physically possible. Now, the one way to do that is to simply make sure that, oh wait, we have torpedoes for it. So there is actually a separate station here somewhere, which just straight up specializes in rockets. So let's go to F9 and let's take a look. Combat missile market. There we go. We have a missile market 148 kilometers away. But the one thing you'll notice is that it actually does sell launchers, and yes, there are iron level launchers. Do we have any that have a seeking? Yeah, we do have seeker shots right here. It costs 1 million, but we do have it. Now, the reason why I wanted to take a look at it is because it also sells missiles, and that is going to be our first and main mode of damaging enemies for the time being. Because right now, we are squishy as hell. Like, we are very, very squishy. We are 2.54. Actually, we are kind of back where we started from. So that's actually kind of neato. So the repair dock also sells equipment. In this case, it's going to be repair turrets and the like. You also have the regular utilities, all kinds of those things. And what we are going to be looking for now is, you know, let's go take a look at the scrap market. Now the scrap market is amazing because it sells a little bit of everything. So, for example, you saw that the cargo bay extenders were sold on the resource depot, or, you know, you have the engines sold on the shipyards, for example. Now, this thing sells a little bit of everything, and I think what we're going to try and find... Yes, there we go. Iron salvaging turrets. The only thing is that I do not believe that iron salvaging turrets are our best bet right now. Instead, I will refrain from actually buying it right now, and instead, we're gonna explore in the next episode and find a kind of a higher tech sector that belongs to this nation, the Tribard Syndicate, and yeah, then we're gonna go shopping. The only other thing right now that actually interests me is having a captain on this particular ship. That would be very, very good. Now, again, the distances in this mod are huge. And all of these things sell something. Trying to find a captain here is going to be slightly problematic, he says, as he finds a captain 14 kilometers away. Yeah, but before we end, I'm just going to very quickly explain what exactly is it that we're going to do right now. Now, I made sure that this ship... Oh, there we go. We just gained 48,000 iron. And yeah, that is it. Like, we are set for that material. That's going to be perfectly fine. And yeah. Let's very quickly grab ourselves a captain. Because one of the things that I will want to make sure... Well, first of all, I want to make sure that I'm docked. But yeah, let's grab ourselves a captain. We are very, very low on credits right now, which is kind of sad, but yeah. I want to very quickly make sure that I do have some torpedoes, because if there is going to be a pirate attack, I want to participate in defending the sector, so I can get better reputation with the starting nation, and obviously also to have the chance to get loot. And so we're going to do that just now. The only thing is, I don't know if a iron sector is going to spawn iron enemies. Now that, I do not know. And I do not know if this sector counts close enough to the, quote, center of the nation, where pirates actually will attack, because that is one of the things that you kind of need to keep in mind. Anyway, I'm here at the resource depot for one very specific thing. We're going to trade resources, and I'm just going to do myself a favor and just sell all of my iron just to get some credits, and I just got quite a bit of credits. But one of the things we'll have to very quickly realize is that even though we have access to all the materials, that material is, first of all, not really something we can mine right now because we're all iron right now. And secondly, even if we had the material itself, well, guess what? You need credits to place down those blocks. Like Oganite blocks, if you want to place down some armor or whatever, it very quickly becomes very costly. So let's take a look over here. So we do have our tools, but that is not what we want. Instead, I really quickly wanted to grab myself some torpedoes instead. So let's do that. Let's very quickly find ourselves some torpedoes. Hopefully somewhere where we don't have to fly 168 kilometers. And I will be back with you in just a moment. And just like that, we are here. This is one of the main concerns when I say it's very important that you do have captains on your ship so you can automate a lot of the mundane tasks. Hey, look at this. We have our resource depot. We just picked up our ore. 48,000 iron once more. Yeah, we are pretty much set, and that's actually a good thing that we got that iron because we are going to need some torpedo storage in just a moment. Let's find a very neat little spot where to place it down. Yeah, this will do nicely. It's a nice little torpedo spot right here. There we go. Let's actually grab some torpedoes. Let's take a look. What do we have? What is the hardest hitting cheap torpedo that we got here? 3.4. Yeah, fusion torpedo, there we go. And nuclear torpedo. 3.3. I think what I'm going to do is just click, 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 click. Oh. Oh, I hate that. Trade resources. Let's go back. Is this the one? No, this is the one. Okay. Let's just buy everything. There's not a lot of them anyway. There we go. Our torpedo storage is full. Of course, I just realized that we don't actually have a torpedo launcher. Let's fix that. Let's make a... no. Let's make this sort of torpedo launcher. Yes, there we go. And let's place it somewhere where it makes sense. Something like this. Okay, there we go. Our ship is bow ready. I'm just going to make sure. Okay, so this is a nuclear torpedo. Let's go. Do you want to... well, that's strange. For some reason, it doesn't want to auto-load. It is a nuclear torpedo, right? Oh. I'll figure this out a little bit later. Alright. So, can we fire? Yes, yes we can. Did it auto-load the next torpedo in? Yes, yes it did. Alright, ladies and gents, we have a combat ship, we have a mining ship. In the next episode, we are going to leave this this particular sector, and we're going to start exploring a little bit, because I do want to show you how all the other sectors look like. Now, one of the major problems that I had with Avorion is that, in all practice, since you're kind of shepherded towards the middle of the galaxy, out of all of this, you're basically just experiencing a beeline towards the center, if you're not careful. This mod tends to mix it up a little bit, and I really like it so far. This is... honestly, I've been trying to record a first episode for this particular playthrough for about 2 months now, and the problem with it is, there are multiple problems and why it hasn't been released, but this is actually the first time when I've spawned in a pure iron sector, so that's kind of strange. This is not the norm, or at least from what I've experienced. Anyway, alright, ladies and gents, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.